All right, welcome back to the NFM Podcast, coming to you from the Optimized You studio. I'm your host, Abby. Our sponsors today are Senza Paddle, Connection Cairo, and NutriShop. And I'm here with Collin, Schoen.
Well done. Good job. Good to see you again.
How's it going, Collin?
Good. You're doing High Rocks soon, isn't it?
I did.
How'd it go?
It was so fun. I'm still on a high from it, honestly.
Told you.
It was, last weekend, I think?
Oh, so you did Atlanta.
Nice. Week. Yeah, Atlanta. It was Atlanta.
Yeah, that's hype.
Yeah. And a bunch of the big CrossFit people were there. We got to watch them do their race.
They crush.
Yeah. Tia and what's our partner's name?
I can't remember.
We're going to be terrible for not knowing.
Did they break another record? Because the one I went to, they broke the record then.
I think they did for mixed doubles.
Yeah.
Obviously, they came in first that day.
Nice. Did you do a solo or did you do double?
I did doubles with a girl. Angie was my partner. She goes to the gym that I work at. But yeah, we got the time, what we went in with in our heads, what we went in with was an hour and 5 minutes, because when we tested, we got an hour and 10 minutes.
Nice.
And when we were running, when we were training, we were going up hills. We were doing more weight on things just to kind of prepare for in case things felt heavier in the race, stuff like that. So we were okay, we can shave off 5 minutes probably, especially the adrenaline, all that. But the actual race, I don't think anyone told me this, but there's way more running than what the race says it is. Yeah, it's 1,000 meters in between each exercise, but then to get in the rock zone where all the exercises are, to get to each one, they're not calculating those meters. So I estimated probably 200 extra meters each run. So total 1,600 more. So our time, we finished in 1:16.
That's not bad.
No, it was not bad. And we knew we raced really hard, so we were happy with it. But it's just not. We realized pretty quick, okay, we shouldn't have had an expectation coming in. We should have just been first race, let's see what we get, and then go for another time. But now we have something to go off of.
Are you gonna do another one?
Yeah, was on a high from it.
Yeah, same.
Immediately wanted to do another one.
Are you doing it this year or next year?
I think we're gonna do Dallas or Chicago.
Heck yeah, Chicago would be cool.
Yeah,
yeah,
because aren't they doing the World Championships in Chicago?
I want to say yes.
I think they are.
Yeah, I was surprised how much fun it was.
Yeah, so fun. Yeah. Wait, when did you do yours?
What was it? March. We did the Houston one.
Okay. Oh, so I haven't seen you since then, have I?
No, I saw you before.
Before you?
No. So I saw you after that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I remember you. Okay, I remember you saying you had done it, but you're about to do your competition.
Yeah, the first one of the year. At the Nashville Fit. I'm ready to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ready to eat some food?
Oh,
afterwards.
No, that won't happen until August.
Oh, you're doing another one in July, you said?
Yeah, July. So we got a ways to go.
Yeah. What all do they take into account when you're getting judged?
So there's, depending on the class you do, it's symmetry, leanness, size, posing, a little bit of stage presence, and then you have factors of who's there, obviously, because you could win one show and then you could compete the next week against a totally different group of people and come in last.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's a lot of stuff that's not in your control on show day. That's why it's so much the journey and the process that you have to fall in love with. Because if you're just doing it for show day, you could have the worst day ever.
Yeah.
Or the best day ever.
Dang, that's interesting.
But yeah.
Symmetry,
So the different classes have different looks. So classic physique is based off the Arnold time period roughly. So broad shoulders, the X frame type thing, size and legs, proportions. So that's what they're looking at. So if you don't have that from a genetic perspective, you're not you can compete. Anyone can compete in it.
Yeah.
But your likelihood of winning is a lot harder if you have a boxer.
They're looking for a very certain aesthetic.
Yeah. There's a lot of subjectivity to it too. So one judge may like this a little better, and there's enough play in the judging criteria that stuff's different each time.
Yeah. Are you nervous at all?
No. It's not that serious. You're in your underwear and a tan, trying not to fart on stage.
Yeah.
There's people backstage that are so serious. I'm like, dude, the work is done.
Yeah.
Let's just have a good time and just whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, the work is done. You just got to stand up there and flex, I guess.
Yeah. Which, if you've been practicing your pose, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But
okay, that's exciting. That's coming up in how many weeks?
3.5.
3.5.
Who's
nice.
counting?
How's your energy?
Low.
Yeah,
Low.
I think last time I asked you said it was low.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy drinks now.
Yeah.
Save the day.
Can you drink as many energy drinks as you want?
No, because your sleep would get impacted. There's a little bit of calories in some of them. And
a little bit, yeah.
Sugar, alcohols, there's a lot of stuff at play.
Yeah.
It can like change your look. Like the week of too, like you kind of cut that stuff out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're like a walking chemistry experiment.
That's
especially
crazy.
Like, yeah, you can change your look. Like your look will change for like a week out to the day of, which is neat. It's cool to see.
Dang. So I'm excited. I'm going to keep up with it, see how you do.
Yeah, hopefully good.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we are going to be interviewing Ben Tracy today. Hey, Ben, how's it going?
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. He is going to tell us a little bit about the Tracy Trek, right?
Yeah.
Tracy Trek and keeping kids safe online. So super excited to get into that conversation today. But before we do, we're going to do the basket of debate. So we got some spicy questions in here today. We got questions that are more in depth than usual. So we'll see. I'm kind of scared to pull what I'm going to. You want to go first, Ben?
Sure. Now, do I have to answer the one I pull?
Oh, yeah.
We all answer
all
each
answer.
one?
Yeah, we'll all answer it. Yeah, but you got to read it.
Okay. Would humanity benefit more from abolishing money or inventing a universal basic income? This is deep.
The one question we're trying to avoid.
Should we throw that one out?
Nah, let's run with it.
Oh, who's going to go first?
I feel like not me. I asked.
Yeah, he's a guest.
Okay.
We'll go last.
Okay, I'll go first. I mean, this is literally just like first thing that comes to mind. I'd have to really sit on this question a minute. But first thoughts is if there was abolishing money, then I guess it would all just be trades. And that could get sticky because I feel like people would fight more. If everybody had the same base income, then like nobody knows any difference. Everybody's just the same. Maybe.
It's almost like the same thing though, like baseline. It'd be really similar because if everyone has the same income, it's like then money's meaningless. So then we're gonna go back to trading anyways.
Yeah.
If you really
that's
think
true.
about it. But if we had to pick, probably be better to get rid of income because it would still spark like creativity and invention and stuff. Because if everyone is baseline level, like there's no incentive to do anything.
That's true. See, I told you I needed way more time to think about this. Yeah, and then
because you could at least.
So you're saying no money. She's saying universal basic income. Is that right?
I'm saying I don't know, and that was a hard question. But yeah, you're right.
Well,
like
how much is the universal basic income? I think that would be my determining factor.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like if it was next to nothing, I would say no money at all. But if it was like a decent, sustainable existence,
yeah.
I would say, like, what would the number be? Like,
could everybody be healthy and happy? And
yeah,
satisfied?
I think if you could reach that threshold, I would go with universal basic income.
But I like what you said about there wouldn't be much room for creativity. And then, like, where is the incentive?
Yeah, to go forward. It's interesting. That's like the thing with AI. It's like that's one of the thought processes. Like once AI gets going, like they make enough money doing whatever it is that we can then divvy out universal basic income to everybody. So it brings the baseline level of living up for everybody.
We have to do universal basic income because AI does everything else for us.
Well, it would just be a byproduct of eventually AI will do that.
Right.
But it'll just be so AI makes, let's just say they're doing on factory jobs, blah, 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 and they're producing revenue. And we just take a flat percentage from them and we just dish it out to everybody. That'd probably be how we do basic income for everybody.
Would people still have like something to work for, but more like recreational? You know, like would we focus more on like things we love and hobbies if we didn't have to worry about money and then compete in that way?
That's where I think we go with that. Like if you take because I mean, it's the same thing if like they could come up with a pill that gets rid of like obesity and all types of stuff like that would free up all that energy that we spend learning about that's already fixed to where we could do something else.
Yeah, we're all just doing bodybuilding and high rocks competitions.
Yeah.
The life of misery.
Yeah, and you just get bragging rights.
Yeah.
No money. Nobody gets any extra money.
All right, that was deep.
That was. But I think we handled it well. That was good.
Let's see. This is a lot softer. The unwritten rule. I got this last time. The unwritten rules of the gym. What's an unspoken gym rule everyone should know, but someone always breaks? Like, don't talk to somebody mid-set is an example. And should there be a fine for taking mirror selfies longer than 10 seconds?
I've had this one before too.
I think we had it together.
Ben has to start then.
Yeah. What's an unspoken gym
I think
rule?
you should be fined for taking mirror selfies longer than 10 seconds.
You should agree
But
with
I
that.
also don't do bodybuilding competitions, so you would probably have a different answer. What was the first question?
What's an unspoken gym rule everyone should know,
Jeez.
but someone always breaks?
Well, I run outside most of the time, so I don't spend a ton of time in gyms. So I go to the Fahrenheit place in 12 South, which I love. They're like talking before class. It's kind of an unspoken rule that you're not supposed to talk, like in the 5 to 10, everybody comes in the room and it's supposed to be quiet, and most people follow that, but then you'll get a few people who haven't been there very often, and they'll like be having a conversation while everyone else is trying to get in their meditative state, and that usually gets them some dirty looks. So I would say is for hot yoga, that's the one I would stick with, which is what I like about it, right? It's quiet, nobody's on their phone. It's kind of the complete opposite of like a typical gym.
I like that. I would never have thought of the yoga thing.
Yeah, those classes, they are kind of like therapeutic. That and some cycle classes.
Yeah.
But me and my friend went to a cycle class, and I was like, yeah, meet me here. Like, it was just like neither of us had done it before. We were just going to go catch up and cycle. And this was intense. So good, but intense. Like, you go in the room, and the room is completely dark. There's one candle lit in the center of the room. And then the leader, the cycle leader for the class, or like the coach, would say things like very like inspirational, motivational phrases. And then everybody's just like dialed in, sweating their butt off, dying. And at one point, and the music's so loud, like in my mind, nobody can even hear you talking around you. Like, and we were just like talking like, how was your day? We're like dying. It was good. How was your day? And then the instructor came over and she was like, can you guys please stop talking? And I was like, oh, absolutely, for sure. But had no clue. And we should have caught on when nobody else was talking, but everybody was just dying, I guess.
I love those yoga classes. It's honestly my favorite workout. I think you get the most bang for your buck in an hour of like I've done kind of all the different workouts and lifting and run, obviously, but if I have an hour, just an hour, I'll go to the yoga classes. You sweat so much. It's like, I don't know, 102, 103 degrees, something like that. And then they have these ones that they call them sculpt, which is like weights. Mm-hmm. So the first one I go in, they've got like, your 3, 5, 8, 10, 12, whatever. So naturally, I like grab the 12s. It's the first time I've ever been. This girl's sitting next to me. She's like, you haven't been here before, have you? She breaks the rule, the no talking in the hot room rule. She's like, you haven't been here, have you? I was like, no. She's like, go grab the 5s. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I can easily do 12s. And it's like shoulder press and, curls. But you do so many that you get tired. Mm-hmm. 15 minutes into this hour-long class, I'm doing the 5s.
Yeah.
30 minutes in, I'm like shoulder press in the air. But I love them. I love that place.
I do love yoga too.
Yeah.
I feel like I can breathe after I go, like, because they do a lot of breath work and
it's
good.
They give you a cold towel with like the lavender oil on it at the end.
Nice
So
touch at the
nice.
end.
Changer.
Colin, do you do yoga?
Not as much as I want
Mr.
to.
Bodybuilder?
I love yoga, but just never fit it in. But you always feel good afterwards.
Yeah.
It's super.
Yeah.
Like for
So
that,
good.
like just, it's such a slow pace thing. It's just like, it's like good meditation.
Yeah, so good. Especially if the room's hot. It's like you went to the sauna and you did some breath work and you got a good burn. Yes, sculpt. It's great. All right, let's go. Next one. Okay, I'm going to try to pull a good one. Let's see. In or out, stretching post-workout? In.
Out.
Out.
It's redundant. If you train through full range of motion, you just stretched for an hour.
You think so?
100%.
I ran all the way across the country. I don't know that I stretched one time.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Post-workout?
I do use, not to be like the guys like stretching is dumb, because it has a place. I use it with, if you don't have access to a specific range of motion and you can get temporary access to it and you can then load it after that, then yeah. But afterwards, you're way past.
Yeah, I think like I think the way my clients are, there's so many people with so many overactive, underactive muscles. And so I'm naturally just thinking like correctional, with we're activating, we're working, we're strengthening. And then like there are muscles that are overactive because they've been compensating in some way and we need to stretch them out. So it just seems like to me necessary, or that's just the way I've seen it. But if we're talking pre versus post, I would say pre is more important.
Yeah, I just use it to get people in a position to then load it, and then they'll correct from there.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just like if you watch people that like do yoga, for example, they're really good at yoga moves, but they're not any more flexible than they were anytime. Unless you're stretching for like long, like crushing sessions, there's no carryover.
Interesting.
Yeah. Sadly.
What do you feel about foam rolling?
It has a place.
Yeah.
Like same game, because it's all nervous system stuff. Like you can, like if you want like big like mobility improvement, like you have to provide a signal that's louder than whatever is causing you to be so tight. And so stretching, like research wise, like is long duration, like painful. Nobody, like most people don't have the pain tolerance to do that anyways, for it to have lasting change.
Yeah.
Foam rolling, we don't know how it works. We do know it works in some shape or fashion to like get stuff to chill out, and then you can then load the tissue again. And then you're golden.
Yeah.
How long do you have to stretch and
like
foam roll
minutes.
to get
so for stretching to stick, it's not like 20 seconds. It's like 5 to 20 minutes of like intense.
For each hold?
Yeah.
Interesting.
For each, like, for it to stick. And like it's very painful. Like the little like hamstring stretch or like calf stretch on the board we do for like 20 seconds, man. Where it's like you could just, let's just say somebody like sucks overhead. Easy thing you could do is like foam roll lats, T-spine, do some extensions, do like a lat PNF stretch, and then load like a pull down. That'll change.
So stretching wise, you better to do like 20 minutes of the same exact stretch, do this stretch today, do another one tomorrow, or do like 20 minutes of your whole body, but each stretch for 15 seconds. If
you're going to just be like, hey, I'm like going to do stretching, like you're going to have to do like each stretch for that time period. Wow. But you could just train through a full range of motion that you can get to and like obviously progress it over time. And then you'll have the carryover. Because if you think about it, we're fighting gravity every day. We need to like have something, we need to be able to resist gravity. If someone comes to you and you do an assessment, you look at them like, okay, like gravity beats them up. Guess what's gonna fix their mobility? Getting stronger than gravity acting on them. And then it's like, okay, full range of motion squat with 135 is going to be a way bigger stimulus than like pulling your butt to your heel to your butt and holding that for 20 seconds. And then you go walk out the door against gravity and it wipes it out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. And that's like correctional exercise and like what a lot of physical therapists do. Working through the full range of motion with strengthening at the same time. It's big. But I never thought about it not really being necessary at all. I would assumed that it's based on my small education with my NASM certification, and I'm the correctional exercise specialist, but I would assume even if you do 20 to 30 seconds of stretching, if you're consistent every day, it would make a difference.
So small marginally, because you have to think like whatever they're doing that's causing them to be tight, they're doing way more of that than 4 rounds of 20-second stretching. So you got to give them something that's more robust than that.
Interesting. Well, that was a good one. Everybody just got educated. Thank you, Collin.
Nerd.
Okay, let's get into what we're here to talk about today. Ben, tell us about why you're here and what you're passionate about. What do you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, so I ran across the country last fall from August to December. From California, I started in San Francisco, and I finished in Ocean City, Maryland, 125 days later. And so I ran 120 marathons over the course of those 125 days.
That
so
is
literally
insane.
coast to coast, I would do the marathon. We had an
Great.
RV, 2 guys on there. I would literally like spray paint the side of it was just like down the shoulder of the road. Spray paint the side of the road, drop a pin off our phone, go eat, and all these little restaurants and coffee shops and stuff, and then stay in campgrounds every night, and next day go back to the same place.
Wow.
That is nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Physically, like the first 3 weeks were the worst, and then my body acclimated to it. I mean, I think
This is
you
what we
realize
do
like
now.
how like your body's just capable of so much more than you think. Like you can never train to that level, right? I was training like 70 miles a week, and this was 183, 184, something like that a week. And so I wasn't even close training wise. But your body just acclimated, or at least mine did. It acclimated to it.
That's sick. Well, like, where did you come up with the idea to do that? Like, what was the whole thing?
Yeah, so my real job is that I go to schools and I talk to kids and their parents about social media. And so I was looking for like a different way to get that message out. And I'd also done some of these like ultra marathons and done pretty well. And so I was just kind of looking for a way to marry those two things to one another, and also like to show everyone like you can accomplish things if you get off your phone and do something outside, active, whatever. So then I started thinking like, okay, well, what's something that's really hard to do? And then I'm like, well, like Forrest Gump ran across the country. You know, it sounds so simplistic, and in a lot of ways it was. And then I'm like, well, how many people have actually done this? And I start doing research, and it's like between 300 and 400 people ever have run across the country.
Okay.
And so then it's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna do it, how would you go about doing it? It's like, the record is like 48 days. And I was like, well, I want to speak in schools. I want to do media and stuff along the way. So I knew it would need to be longer. And then we just like, okay, what's the route, I originally decided 25 miles a day. And then one of the guys who was with me was like, why don't you just do a marathon? Like, I think that would be easier to explain to people. Most people understand that doing one marathon is a hard thing. And if you do 120 of them, like people can't comprehend that, but at least they understand like what, like it gives them some context of how hard it is. So that's how we came up with that. And then like logistics, what's the route? What direction do you go? That sort of thing. How do you get a motorhome? How do you put a wrap on them? Things we learned kind of just as we went.
Yeah. Did you have a big crew with you?
I had 2 other guys with me, both Nashville roles? Guys. One guy, his name was Christian Hall. He did photos and videos. He was great. Kind of coordinated the logistics. I mean, both of them. The other guy's name was Seth Hayes. He drove and cooked. Both of them were so selfless. They did so many things that I don't know that I would do for another grown man, but they went all in on the mission. And I think we all and I don't know if this was ever said explicitly, but we all kind of like made the decision of like, it's all of our jobs for me and that RV to make it across the country. And they did so many things for me. And I don't think I appreciated when I started how important the crew was, not just the logistics, the cooking and all of that, but just how positive they were. Like I can hardly remember them ever saying anything negative. And it was just as hard for them. I mean, they weren't running obviously, but they gave up 4 months of their life to live on an RV for like my mission and dream. And so, those 2 guys are great guys who I think will be friends for life.
That's amazing. Yeah. Sounds like they're the ones that you needed on that.
I've often thought if I didn't have either one of them and had somebody else in their place, I'm not sure I would have made it.
Wow. Yeah. Friends for life for sure. So you're doing something that's kind of crazy, which is to raise, the race is kind of crazy, right, or the trek.
Yep.
But obviously for a good reason, for a good cause, something you're passionate about, which is keeping kids safe online. And you said that's what you do for your full-time job.
Yep.
Where did that passion come from? Tell us like the background. How did you get to being what you want to dedicate your life to, and even raise so much awareness to run across the country?
Yeah, so I've been speaking in schools for like 7 years about the different dangers. And it started out as kind of like about digital footprint, like how what you post on the internet can follow you forever. I had worked in politics during college and right after, and got this job as a personal assistant to a former governor in Illinois, and got fired on my first day because somebody went through my Twitter account from when I was like 17 years old, through like 5,000 of my tweets, found like a few inappropriate jokes, like tweeted back at friends of mine and like screenshot them. Anyway, I get fired from this job. I'm in the car with the governor as this is all happening. And so then I'm like, oh man, like everyone I know is posting wild shit on the internet, right? This is 2016, 17, right? Like it was still kind of like free for all internet days. And so then I was like, there's probably a market for this story with college athletic departments, right? I'd been a college athlete. I was 23 years old. I'm like, these guys were my teammates a year ago. And so I started going to college athletic departments and talking about, hey, this stuff could cost you a job, a scholarship, what have you. And then I
learn from my mistakes.
Correct. And then I started going into high schools, and these kids are coming up to me, 15, 17 years old. And they're like, I get that. Like, I understand the like digital footprint, but will you help me with this? Like showing me their iPhone. And there's the cyberbullying, there's predators, there's girls especially saying, the more time I spend on Instagram, the worse I feel about myself. And I quickly realized, like, wow, there's so much going on here that's worse than like getting fired from a job, and it's happening to like high school kids and middle schoolers with like undeveloped brains. And it sounds so obvious now, but 8 years ago when I started doing this, very few people knew about these dangers. And so with the run was kind of just a different way to get that message out and to show people like you can overcome a negative experience or mistake that you've made, especially as a teenager.
Man, I'm just trying to. So, how did you get the momentum to get that going to where you could go speak to the schools and stuff like that? Like, without just being some random dude.
The first one I ever did was my college track team. So I was a sprinter in college. The track coach was like a friend of mine. He'd been my coach, and he's like, "Why don't you go in and like tell this story to the guys?" And so I go in. It's like 20 of my former teammates. The athletic director sits in on it. He's like, "Hey man, like this is pretty good. You should like come back and talk to the whole athletic department." And so the first one was like 20 people. The second one was like 500 or 600 people. And he's like, "This is really good, man. Like you should continue doing this." And it kind of just snowballed from there.
Wow. That's what was more impactful, do you think? Not impactful, like what more conversations were harder to have that you saw like on the phone from people? Like, was it the college kids or was it the younger, like high school and younger? The
college kids early on, where they were just saying stuff that was like inappropriate and like offensive, on Twitter, stuff that you like, especially Twitter. That was like early on. Like I would go into these college athletic departments. I would like go through their Twitter accounts before, like screenshot what they'd posted, like put it up on the screen. And it would like really call attention to that. But then the worst was the high schools. These kids are coming up and they're just telling you like the most heartbreaking thing you can imagine. These girls are like, "Hey, I had this nude photo passed around about me, and I eat lunch in the bathroom, and I have an eating disorder, and I transferred to this school because I wanted to get away from this stuff." And you're like, oh my God, like this stuff, it's so heartbreaking. And very few people were having this conversation, and so many of these kids would just kind of internalized it, and they hadn't ever talked about it. They hadn't told their parents about it or their counselor or anything because it was kind of like taboo. And so I would say like the high school was the hardest, and now it's middle school and elementary schools, and these kids they learn stuff that we learned in college in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade because they have access to this technology.
Were you surprised that these high schoolers were willing to open up to you, and did you ever think, why aren't you talking to your counselor or your parent?
Yeah, I was. And a lot of it was the personal story, but it's also, I think, like being approachable. Like I'll go into like a private school. I'll go into the most bougie private school or public school in America, and I'll wear the exact same thing I'm wearing right now. And like nobody else does that. And I was younger, the personal story, I think just for a lot of reasons, I like kind of opened that door to them of like, hey, it's okay, like don't post stupid stuff, like be mindful of all these things. But also like if you screw up, like there are people who can help you through that. And they'd never heard that. You know, it seems to them like it's the biggest thing in the world. And so I think that's where it just kind of opened up to me naturally. And they still do.
Yeah, that's an important place to be. Somebody that, whether you ask for it or not, somebody that young kids look up to and trust. That's a big responsibility for you. And an honor, I'm sure, as well.
It really is.
I'm sure you've learned a lot too, but I'm excited to hear a little more about it. We're going to take a little break before we get into it a little more.
Perfect.
At Optimize You, we believe that normal is not optimal. Whether you've been dabbling in hormones or this is your first time and you want to know where to get started, we make the hormone optimization process very simple. Simply get started with comprehensive labs, and our providers will take it from there with you to review where you are right now and where you want to be to ultimately help you achieve your health and performance-related goals. So from our expertise in hormones, peptides, all the way to recovery services, we want you feeling at your optimized best so that you ultimately feel better physically, mentally, and sexually. Just like hormones playing a significant role in the overall optimization of your health, so do recovery services help your body on a cellular level. From our sensory lounge to our infrared sauna, full body red light, full body cryotherapy, cold plunge, we have a wide range of performance recovery services just for you.
All right, and we're back with Ben Tracy. We were just talking about how you're integrating into the schools and talking with the kids and hearing all their stories. It's like, what are you telling them? Like, what's the advice? Because I don't imagine it's stay off social media and not use it.
No, I mean, in third grade, it is. Like, you shouldn't be on TikTok. You should not be on Snapchat. This is not safe for you.
And that's like sensory overload for,
I couldn't even imagine.
For any of us, but also like a child. Oh my gosh.
It's too much. And I mean, all of the data supports that. Is the younger a child gets a smartphone, the more likely they are to experience every different negative mental health outcome. The more time they spend on social media, the more likely they are to experience anxiety and depression. You know, kids who spend 3 hours a day or more on social media are twice as likely to have anxiety and depression as those spending less than 3 hours a day. But it's also a reality of the world. And if a girl is, or boy, but you know, especially the girls, you're 17 years old, you're not on Snapchat. Well, all of your friends are, and you are probably missing out on some social interaction. So it's telling them, like, you should limit how much time you're spending on these apps. You should probably not talk to people that you have never met, you know, because a lot of these kids, they'll accept anybody as a friend on Snapchat, and, you know, they're getting messages from these predators. I mean, the FBI says there are 500,000 predators active on the internet every single day. So it's like when I was growing up, like, I grew up in a town of 900 people. You had to worry about the handful of dangerous people in that town. It's like now you could potentially be exposed to 500,000 of those people all over the world.
Yeah.
And so we had, in each state, we had one kid who died from something social media related. And I interviewed their families. And so the back of our RV, it had those names. It would say, you know, Zach Didier, Forever 17, who was a kid who unknowingly got fentanyl on Snapchat. He thought he was getting a Percocet from this drug dealer. And so I finished the run across the country wearing his dad gave me his soccer jersey. I interviewed him in Nevada. Gives me his son's soccer jersey. I wear the soccer jersey, like, as I'm doing speeches in schools along the way. And then he comes out from their home in California and finishes with me in Ocean City, Maryland, the last day, like, runs the last 8 miles. And there's this picture from behind, the two of us, each wearing his son's soccer jersey, like holding an American flag. And so I interviewed, you know, it was kids who died from the social media choking challenge, unknowingly getting fentanyl, kids who took their own lives after being bullied or after falling victim to these predators. And so, you know, part of the mission was to get those stories out, right? Because it's so much more common than what people realize, but it is still kind of taboo. People aren't talking about it. And so those families who've lost a child and are willing to share their story, you know, any platform that I could give them, I was trying to do that.
I bet that means so much to these families too, who have experienced firsthand the impact that media can have on children and anybody. But man, I'm sure that meant so much to especially that dad who came and ran with you. That's such a cool story.
It did, and all of them were texting, calling, email, you name it, every day, reaching out to me, sending me, everything from like their kids' Bible verse, like their favorite Bible verse, to they sent me their kids' artwork, and they took me into their kids' bedrooms and gave me all these different mementos. And it meant so much to me, and I know it meant a lot to them too, of course. But that brought a whole new meaning to the run.
Yeah.
And once I decided to do it that way, to put their names on the RV, I was like, I have to finish. Like, I will never quit. I took that completely off the table, because I thought, if I don't finish, that's like dishonoring their children. And I don't think they felt that way, but that's kind of how I framed it.
It
mentally.
made it probably feel like way more weighty. Like, wow, what I'm doing really matters.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why do you think it's so taboo to talk about still?
Well, nobody wants to say, hey, there's like a nude photo of me going around on the internet, or even some of the kids who died from fentanyl, their parents don't want to share that that's how their child died. And I think sometimes, and this isn't true, but I think sometimes parents feel like they did something wrong. But parents ask me with all these families, like, what are the common themes with these stories? And aside from them involving like social media and smartphones, it's that they were all like good kids from good families. Their parents were having every conversation that they knew to have, but none of them had ever heard of the thing that killed their child. And so because so few people are talking about it, like, it's hard to be the first one, to go out and say, hey, this is what happened. Now, like, these kids are getting in like romantic relationships with AI chatbots, and there are bad outcomes. And so
crazy.
Parents are, a little hesitant, I think, to share those things, because it does take a lot of courage to go out and to share it.
Do you think that the kids, like, when this awareness is raised more for the kids, do you think that they will ever get to the place where they care enough to like miss out on something, miss out on a Snapchat group, or a streak on Snapchat, like whatever it is, because they recognize, like, the awareness is so there that they recognize the negative benefits or negative side effects of it?
I think they're starting to, certainly more than they were 4 or 5 years ago. And to say, hey, I'm not going to be on social media at all, like, I'm not going to have an iPhone, is probably not realistic. So the view I take is trying to just teach them how to use it in a healthier, responsible way. But I mean, you have to think, like, any kid in high school right now has never lived in a world where an iPhone didn't exist. And so they don't, like, we have this perspective of like before and after, right? Like, I'm 31. I grew up without a phone for the most part. Once I got it, the phone didn't do anything. And then I know, like, the world today. Well, they've only ever lived in this interconnected iPhone social media world.
Yeah.
So I think some of them don't actually, they have this addiction, they have this problem, and they don't actually know that it's a problem.
Right. Well, and like anxiety too. I know, like, I was just talking to one of my siblings the other day, and she was talking about this chest pain she gets after school every day. And I was like, do you think it's anxiety? And she's like, yeah, I think so. And working with like young girls and youth group and just stuff like that, I think they don't even know, like, they're not self-aware enough to even know how something's affecting them. Like, they don't even know they have anxiety.
Right.
They just feel anxious, but they can't tie it to like anything.
Correct. And I'm sure it's a lot of different things, but certainly the phone and social media is one of them.
What are some of the tools you give these kids? Are there like tangible tools you give them, or is it just like kind of advice as they come to you? Follow me on Instagram, get some tips.
I spent like the first 5 years I did this not doing any social media at all. And then I realized, especially because I speak with parents as well, the parents who most need to hear what I have to say will not show up at their kid's school, but that mom might follow me on Instagram. Yeah. So we started doing a little bit of that. I think the biggest thing with the kids is, acknowledging very openly that they're growing up in a different world, that they know more about it than every adult in their life, that they've had poor role models when it comes to social media, and especially like the bullying and, you know, the hiding behind the comfort of a screen, saying something that you would never say face to face. Well, they've grown up watching every politician, many celebrities, athletes doing that exact same thing that people like me are telling them not to do. And so it's a challenge in a way of like, you have to be better. You have to handle this differently than what some of the previous generations before you, because you haven't had good role models. And then it's like practical things like on Snapchat, turn on ghost mode, which like disables the location sharing on the Snap Map, which is like real-time location sharing. Like simple things like that. Hey, like maybe put your phone down for 30 minutes before you go to bed every night, because your phone emits a blue light and you spend an extra hour scrolling on it. And like little, just like practical takeaways, as opposed to like some of the other people who do what I do take, I would say, a more extreme approach than what I do. But it is a reality of the world that they're growing up in. And to say like no kid in America should have a phone, it's just, that's never going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and like when you have an Instagram, you know, for 5 years you didn't, and then you decided, okay, well, actually, this is a great way to get my word out. And I think that's a great representation of what social media is. It's beautiful in some ways and what you can do with it. And then like anything, it can be used to a fault, or it can have negative effects. But yeah, I was just thinking about like my own, like how do I try to like set boundaries with social media and just like sensory overload with all the ways, all the things you can use and see on your phone. And one of those is like bedtime routine and just having the phone start at sleep mode at a certain time every night. And then like 30 minutes before bed, at least, not having screens. So I feel like though that's smart to like give real tools that kids can create habits just like they would anything else, train themselves to do. That's probably more helpful than just, or more realistic than just saying, don't do it at all. Collin, do you have any things that you do to like set boundaries with your phone?
Oh yeah, because I work so much on my phone, it bleeds into life. So like, my wife is the best reminder about this, because she's like, it's family time, it's dinner. Like just, it can wait 30 minutes. So just like being able to pause is huge, and like disconnect from it is big. And then, yeah, it's crazy. I quit not scrolling before bed is crazy what that does to your sleep. So yeah, that, but I'm interested to see how I'll do it with my daughter and whatnot, because that's going to be an interesting front to do, because like the internet is not a foreign place to me. Like I grew up, we're the same age,
right?
So it's like that before and after, like you know what that is. So I feel like you almost with that have for stranger danger. Essentially, it just kind of comes more intuitively to you. So you're like, oh, I get that friend request. I don't know who that is. Don't care. Like not doing it.
Right.
It'll be interesting to figure out how you teach that when she sees you're doing, like, because I mean, I get leads on Instagram or whatever. So like I am essentially talking to a stranger to grow the business, to how I'm going to like teach my daughter not to do it. Like, don't do the thing that gives us the security to live where we're at. Like it's a different thing. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. So like that will be interesting on how we figure that out.
Yeah.
What age do you think you would let your daughter? You said she's 8 months old?
8 months old.
What age do you think you would give her a phone?
We would give her, was it middle school, one without like internet access, just for calls, because like most likely she'll play sports. Unless she's just like, screw you, mom and dad, I don't want to play sports. Like, okay, cool, whatever. Just for that purpose, because that's exactly how it was when I was that age. Like I played sports, like, hey, call me to pick you up, because I'm not waiting in the car parking lot for an hour and a half.
Right.
Because I have stuff to do. And then I would like to, and this could change, is when she gets into high school, let her have access to it, but like teach her.
Yeah.
Because like I don't think shielding does anything. It makes it probably worse. And then also like I can't be a hypocrite. And say I didn't have that at that age. And this is my parenting style. It's like I'd rather see you face some adversity, but I'm like at least watching over. Hey, I got you. You know, like pull you as you're about to fall off the cliff, pull you back. Like, see, like there was nothing there. Lesson learned, because you learn the most from when you get that like that fear from it.
That's good.
And that's what I recommend is like a phased in approach. You like wait. I mean, you should wait as long as you can, but there is going to come a time, and then introduce it like progressively over time, like you're talking about.
How do you think that'll be? Because it's going to be different in 10 years with AI. Like it's going to like we could be super blended with AI for all we know, like to where it's just like the chip thing. Like maybe
Scarlett's only 8 months old, so like your plan right now, who knows what that's going to look like when she's
very much going to change.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows where AI is going to go, but it is scary. I mean, some of the stuff, I mean, I try not to even get into it too much with the kids because I don't want to give them any ideas of what they can do. But we've had where like people have taken photos off the schools, like Instagram, the like official school Instagram, and used AI to create like nude images and like stuff like that. I mean, I saw like the other day, and like not to be political, but like, you know, that there was that picture posted of like Trump dressed up as the Pope.
Yeah.
And it's like, regardless, like I'm Catholic, so, but I'm not like going to make a comment on that, but just like the awareness that created of this is what you can actually do using an AI platform with his following. I don't love it, you know, especially with kids. Is some of the stuff I think I've seen as high as like 20% of kids have had someone at their school has created like inappropriate AI images and stuff like that. And, you know, kids are like voice cloning their teachers and, you know, crazy things. Like this one kid uploaded, like recorded his teacher and then used like a voice clone, and then uploaded it to social media, like this, like very offensive stuff. And like all these people are like, you have to fire this teacher, all this stuff.
Like, so
and none
fake,
of those real.
but it was just their real voice.
Completely fake.
That's
this
insane.
one kid, this mom emailed me the other day. She's like, my son, 17 years old, he recorded me at breakfast, used the AI voice clone, and called himself out of school. I was like, that's brilliant.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What was it? There was it the Tennessee? Some governor, their kid got stuck in like some group from, I think it's Africa or something, where they like generated a bunch of AI stuff and were like, hey, if you want this gone, you have to wire us money. And the kid ended up killing himself.
Yeah, so that guy's name is Brandon Guffey.
Yes,
he's from South Carolina. He's been a huge advocate for this. And so with the run across the country, two of the families we honored were both kids who had taken their own lives after falling victim to these predators. None of them, I think there's only been one
wrong on that.
where it's AI. The rest of them had actually sent it. But these predators will act like they're teenage girls, and they target these teenage boys, get them to send a nude, and then blackmail them for money, like $100, $200, like low numbers. And so my run through Missouri was in honor of this young man named Evan Bettler, was 16 years old. Took his life 2 hours after the first message he ever got from what he thought was a teenage girl. Utah was another young man 5 hours after. Like, you know, they literally have the script that they follow, and they're criminals. And they say, like, you know, if you don't pay us, we're going to ruin your life. Like, we're going to send that picture to your parents and your teachers and all this stuff. And it's heartbreaking. It really is.
That really is.
What do you say to the kids, not that are going through that, but like that, if they ever run across that, like what would the advice be for that?
I mean, there's the practical, like get screenshots, get the social media handle.
Yeah.
But the most important is like, hey, you're not the first person who's ever had this done to them. You are the victim of a crime. The person doing it is a criminal. The adults in your lives love you and care about you and want to help you, but you got to go to them. I mean, because it's hard for a kid. Like,
I couldn't even imagine.
You've made a mistake. You don't want to lose access to your phone. But we had one. So the young man from Missouri, I told all these families, hey, once this is done, the run, I'll come back to your town and do a presentation at your school. So like 3 weeks ago, they organized this big community event. I was there. The parents spoke. 2 Secret Service agents came up from Dallas and were there to Missouri. Their local district attorney, all these different groups were there. And so we talk about this. Hey, this is how this kid died. I'm literally spoke to his class, 700 of his classmates, the whole thing. 2 days later, I get a message on my Instagram, like my personal Instagram. This kid's like, hey, the same thing that happened to Evan is happening to me right now. And I'm literally through Instagram DMs, like take a deep breath, like tell your parents, get screenshots, go to the police, all this stuff. And like I'm flying, like I'm about to take off on a plane, and I'm like texting this kid back on Instagram DMs. I'm like, hey, like I'm about to lose internet. Like, don't hurt yourself. As soon as I get to 10,000 feet, I'll like, I'll connect, I'll DM you back. So I'm like going back and forth with this kid. And thankfully, like they got screenshots, the whole thing. They went to the police. They did everything that they were supposed to do. But you wonder, like, had that conversation not happened in his school, he'd actually sent the picture before I was there, like a couple days before. And then they started blackmailing him after I was there. And so, who knows how that would have turned out. But because that conversation had been had by me and the other people that were there, he knew what to do in that moment. And I think that's why it's so important.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, you have a big responsibility, and who knew that all that from your job and your Twitter post that you got fired from your job for would lead to this. But yeah, that's amazing, like what you're doing and how you're helping kids now.
Thank you.
I want to hear more about your race, or it's not a race, right? Nobody else is racing. It's your trek.
Yeah.
Because that was a big deal. Like physically, we didn't really talk about how you felt. So 120 miles total, right?
120 marathons.
3,125
miles.
Yeah, 3,125 miles. 120 marathons. How long did it take you to do each marathon?
The average was 4 hours and 45 minutes. So it's about 10:40 pace, 10:45, something like that.
Okay.
6 million steps.
Days. Wow. What was the hardest part throughout that whole journey?
Colorado was tough, just because of the elevation. Kansas, surprisingly, was tough. It's very flat, but it's the windiest place in America, they told me. And so you're getting like 50 mile an hour crosswinds. And so that was tough. And you're running down the side of the road, right? So this one town's called Dodge City, Kansas. They're known for like slaughterhouses, like where they slaughter cattle. And so someone told me they slaughter 12,000 cows a day in Dodge City, Kansas. And so the way they get to the slaughterhouse is on these cattle haulers, which is a semi, essentially.
Those poor cows.
But there's like gaps. There's like air passes through the trailer. And so you're running by these, and because the way the air would pass through, like everyone was like running into a brick wall. Not only that, but there's like cow shit coming off of those things onto me, like things you don't think about when you decide to run across the country, right? And like, in Colorado and out west, there were rattlesnakes too. So like, Mike Posner, the musician. Yeah, Mike Posner. Mike Posner walked across the country, and he got bit by. He took the same route I did. He got bit by a rattlesnake in this town called La Junta, Colorado, and like things that you don't think about, right? It's like there's rattlesnakes on the roads everywhere.
I didn't think about that at all.
Me neither. Until I got out there, and everybody's like, "Watch rattlesnakes," So, no, I think I got really lucky, both with hundreds of thousands of cars drove past me, closer than what you and I are right now. And so, I think I got lucky, the physical and just avoiding any real danger.
Go ahead.
How'd your body feel doing that? I know you said like the first 3 weeks was the worst, but like
I just got used to it.
That's crazy.
Honestly, I was eating 7,000 calories a day.
Oh, nice. Good job.
So
that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it was hard to do, or were you like, give me food, more food?
There were times they had to force me to eat. Okay. But most of the time it was all right. And like,
how are you getting that many calories? What were you eating?
Nothing healthy. It started out healthy.
There's no way.
I only lost like 5 pounds total the whole way because I was just eating garbage. I ate a pint of Ben & Jerry's almost every single night.
Let's go.
I was eating Uncrustables. Right? I ate about 3 Uncrustables a day on average.
Those are so good.
And then when I got to the Midwest, I started eating gas station pizza. So there's
Hunt Brothers?
No, I do have a friend who works for Hunt Brothers.
So good.
But it's called Casey's. It's this Midwest gas station. Every town in the Midwest has one. And my hometown had one. This is the only like restaurant in my hometown. So we get to the Midwest, we see the first one. I'm like, hey, let's go. It's like by the slice, right? So I get a slice. And I tell the guys with me, I'm like, I'm going to get a slice at every Casey's that I run by right in the middle of the marathon. I'm going to go in, I'm going to have a slice. Well, there were days that I ran by like 4 and 5 KCs over the course of the marathon. People were loving it. We were like spamming KCs on Instagram. They never did sponsor us. They were like commenting. They're like, "This is awesome." I was like, "We're like the only product we're promoting." Like we had sponsors, and I was joking. We had like the safe starter phone company and stuff, and we were promoting them as much as we could. But I told the guys, I was like, I'm pretty sure I did more for Casey's than what I did for this like actual sponsor.
That is gold.
Yeah, but no, it was good. 7,000 calories a day. There's a video out there on YouTube of everything I eat in a day, and it's like 10 minutes long. And don't watch it; it's disgusting.
Oh man,
we're gonna go watch it now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, pizza sounds so good right now. Maybe I would run 120 marathons to eat 4 slices of pizza a day.
I wouldn't recommend it. My problem now is I'm still eating like I'm running across the country.
Yeah,
and I've been telling people, I'm like, if I gain any more weight back, no one's going to believe that I actually did this.
So do you enjoy running in general? Like, do you like that?
Not particularly.
Type of training? Okay.
I mean, in small doses, but no, like I didn't get that like runner's high. I wasn't like having a great time out there.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Did you train for it?
Yeah, I was doing about 70 miles a week.
Okay.
And then I was doing like 2 lower body weight days, an upper body day, and then I was going to Fahrenheit and doing hot yoga 2 or 3 times a week.
It was the yoga.
I think it was.
For sure. Well, before we wrap it up, what do you feel like throughout this whole journey you've learned? Like then if you had to pick number one thing.
I think we're all capable of so much more than we realize. And if we commit to something 100%, that like you can truly accomplish anything. And in a lot of ways I don't want to say it was easier, but like here in Nashville, like there's so many opportunities, right? I wrote down this morning that I'm going to run 8 miles today. If I don't, the only person who knows that is me. Mm-hmm. But out there, I was like, I have to run this marathon. Everybody's watching this. We're putting all of the data out there. I've committed to this. Like, I have to do this. Mm-hmm. And I think by having no plan B, it almost made it like easier in a way. And so I think like just committing to something fully, whether that's a job, a relationship, something physical, I think that's how I was able to succeed with this endeavor. And we're all capable of so much more than we realize.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
What are you going to do next?
I don't know. We're going to make a documentary about the run.
Cool.
I'm writing a book about it. And so it's kind of just in like the telling the story phase now. So we'll see. I don't know about anything physical. I signed up for a half marathon at the end of the month. So just to give myself something to look forward to.
Which one is it?
The hometown half, it's called. It's the 31st. I couldn't even tell you where it starts, but somewhere in Middle Tennessee.
Okay, fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
Got anything else, Collin?
I'm not running that many marathons, that's for sure.
Well, I feel inspired after that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that little piece of what you've learned the most. Yeah, that's inspiring.
When
We're all more capable than what we think.
I would want people to know, like, I'm not a great runner.
Yeah.
Like, I have 20 friends in Nashville who could run a faster marathon than me. Mm-hmm. But it was just, I think I have a high pain tolerance and, like, I'm mentally strong. But it's not like if I signed up for the rock and roll marathon, I would finish, like, middle of the pack. Nobody would recognize, oh, that's the guy who ran across the country. And actually, 3 years ago, 2022, I quit the Nashville Marathon at 18 miles in. Like you run through town, you go into East, and then you go to Shelby Bottoms and come back and you finish at Nissan Stadium. Mm-hmm. At 18 miles, my like legs were giving out. It was hot. Like I literally like walked off the course and went home. Couldn't even finish one marathon. 2.5 years later, I ran across the country.
Yeah. What made you just quit? Do you think it was just like the...
Like I physically couldn't do it. Both. It was both.
Okay.
It was physically like my legs were tight and cramping and all those things, and then I was just like, I just gave up on it. And like that bothered me so much. So like I'm like, maybe I'm like overcompensating for that with the run across the country. So I mean, I would just tell people who are listening, like, again, you are capable of so much more than you realize. Like 2.5 years after quitting one marathon, I ran all the way across the country and ran. Like I walked less than a mile total. And so
that is crazy.
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest takeaway I had.
Yeah, that's good. Y'all hear that, Nashville? Got to do some big stuff, especially for a cause. Thank you so much for coming and raising awareness for such an important topic and just being here and sharing with us. It's so fun and means a lot to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Where can they find you?
Safe Social Network is my website, and Ben J. Tracy on Instagram.
Love it.
All right, and you can find us on all the platforms, Nashville Fit. And thanks for listening, guys. We'll see y'all next week.